You're right. That's a new intro song.
That's nice.
Do you know this?
Is it Westworld? It sounds like some Westworld stuff. Westerworld.
I did skim through some Westworld scenes over the weekend.
Did you?
I did.
It reminds me of the piano that's always playing.
Yeah. I figured you'd like this because you like that guitar-driven funk.
I do. I like, you know what? I do. This might be, yeah, no, I do. I like the Vietnam era kind of music. That's my thing.
I wonder if you and my dad would get along musically.
Probably.
I have to ask him. I think he was kind of pissed off. So I slept yesterday and I didn't wish him a happy birthday. And I think today he was kind of pissed that I didn't. So, but, yeah, that song I think is the group The Meters, and it's called Hey Pocky.
Uh-huh.
I grabbed it from Falcon and the Winter Soldier on Friday night.
Oh, really? So when is that season?
Friday.
Oh, you got in. Okay, good. Sorry, Jordan's coming back and forth.
Friday it ends, and I got to say that the last episode was some of the best 60 minutes of anything in Marvel's 13-year history.
Really?
It was really good.
I watched the Shang-Chi.
Yeah, we're going to spend probably the first 90% of this podcast today breaking down every minute and kick of the Shang-Chi.
I loved it.
Yeah, I'm very excited for it as well. I almost shut off the internet today because on USA Today's website, which is very hit or miss, but it gives me an idea of what's going on as far as big stories. It said, meet LeVar Burton, Jeopardy host hopeful. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? Like, what is it? Is it like Gen Z? Like, you know who LeVar Burton is?
Of course I do.
Well, you do, but you're not Gen Z. So
Oh.
I was hurt by that. And then I saw on another news site I go to, it said, Marvel's first Asian superhero. And I was like, okay, just step away, put the internet down. You know, there are certain people, there's people that don't know things. I mean, I don't know a lot about Shang-Chi, but I'm very excited for this movie. And it was an enjoyable trailer. And I don't know, I guess it's just timing or whatever. But for me, this is Mortal Kombat week, which is a lot of Asian characters as well. And we have to figure out when we're going.
We do have to figure out when we're going. You know what? That's a good question because Thomas made plans for this weekend, but I don't know if it's Saturday or Sunday.
What did he make plans for?
His friend is coming into town, and I think they're going to go to like the gun range or something.
Okay. I think there's a lot of nice things to talk about today, some lifestyle things to run down. But before that, do you have anything serious that you want to talk about?
Serious? I don't think so. I guess I can update you guys, and we talk about it on the podcast all the time. My home situation is not looking very good. And I don't know if we talked about it the last time we were on, but it's most likely we will not be able to buy. Essentially, and I'm curious what other folks in this market have to say, but essentially I always knew we were not attractive buyers just with the loan that we have, the kind of loan that we have, but it almost sounds like we would be wasting the time of realtors and lenders if we continue to try to look for homes within our budget with the monies that we have essentially. Nobody is accepting loans with concessions. So when we make an offer, we ask for concessions. So we ask for closing costs.
It's a garbage can.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Sorry, that's work stuff is happening at the same time. We ask for closing costs and our concessions, but we offer over enough to cover those closing costs so that we're not trying to make the sellers responsible for paying those things. But apparently that's not an attractive offer. And essentially we would be wasting everybody's time in this market looking for a home. And it's sad. I'm legitimately sad about it. Like, I had to really think about it this weekend and try not to feel sad and not to come up with all the reasons why I'm bothered. And it upset me. It definitely made me sad. I feel like I've worked really hard to get to this point. I've never saved so much money in my life for like a down payment and felt so financially stable, only for this market and this process to tell me you're not actually that financially stable. You're not, you're not paying in cash. You can't afford to pay your closing costs. So no chance for you.
Just bad timing.
It is bad timing, and it's hard to, I guess, and I know that, like, I tend to be realistic, and I know that I'll come back to reality at some point, but it really is hard to kind of reconcile that and not just feel sad and feel like you're the only one,
Well, you're not, and it's through no fault of your own. It's just bad timing, and I know, like you're feeling. Nobody wants to hear that, but like we talked about on Friday, perhaps there will be a positive out of this. Whereas, like we've talked about for weeks, we'll use some flat numbers. If you were looking at a $150,000 home, but you had to pay like $165 or $170 for it. Whenever you go to leave that home, you're probably not going to get as much money back as you would have at another time in the market.
Right.
So there's a bit of a silver lining here, and that's that. I came across somebody on Facebook who was just getting into looking to buy a home, and I was like, back out.
Yeah.
Go back home.
Yeah.
It's troubling. And maybe now what you can do is take some of that money that you saved and find somewhere to invest it to earn just a couple of extra bucks. I don't know where that would be, but it's got to be somewhere.
That's not a bad idea. I would have to educate myself on that. The only other thing I said was that I was going to take like a small portion of it, and we were just going to get ourselves a hotel room for a couple of days somewhere on the beach and just like, give ourselves a break and, drive us and the dogs down to Myrtle Beach or North Carolina, South Carolina, somewhere, and just take some days off. Just because it's there, but I really don't want to use it. I did get to throw Thomas a really nice birthday party this weekend.
We'll get to that.
But yeah, I think that was the only thing that we both said. And it's like, okay, well, how about you have a wedding? Like, why don't you prioritize a wedding? Because, you can ask for finances as gifts instead of like coffee makers or whatever. You can ask for money that will go towards your home, but at the same time, it costs money to have a wedding.
Right. Yeah. When we talked on Friday, I was not an advocate of saying just move priorities around and bump.
Right.
No, because what? There is no equity earned by having a wedding.
Yeah. No, you're still spending money. I'm still spending money on a dress and all of that. So, that's it. If there's any serious stuff, it's just me working through my emotions of just feeling sad. And I'm not that sad. Like, we talked this weekend a little bit and I was fine. So,
well, not to minimize your feelings, but to minimize your feelings. When I meant serious stuff, I meant like all the people that got shot over the weekend.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm so numb to that. Like that. I know. I was looking through the news cycles and it was like a shooting in Nebraska. I'm like, oh, wait, I didn't even hear about that. A shooting in Kenosha, a shooting in Austin. That person's on the loose. So good luck to those folks. It's just like, I literally said, it's going to be time that the shit's going to come to Toledo, and we're going to be talking about it here in Toledo. Like, I just feel like I feel it in my bones, and I know that's really dark to say. Luckily in Bowling Green, we were able to curb whatever that person's intentions were, just to induce panic, clearly. But yeah, it's only a matter of time before it gets closer to home, and that's just really troubling to say, but it's just a reality.
Well, it's been here in a way. Not there hasn't been like someone like one of these people, but there has been plenty of shootings and violence. And I think Juwan Armour held his first gun violence town hall.
We should have went. Yeah, I didn't realize that was happening.
Yeah, neither did I. And you know what? I saw Julian Mack, the activist, post something. Post the flyer the city put out, and he was critical, saying it because it was some black kids like smiling and laughing, and he's like, it's not only a black problem, and it's certainly not something that fun about. And I get where he was coming from. I'm sure somebody just wanted to whip up a flyer real fast. The laughing part was probably not necessary, but I'm not against or for per se the color of the people on there. because I think Jawan is black, and he is there to work with gang violence, which I would guess is mostly the black community members here. So I could see why you would put black people on the flyer, hoping that you would draw these people in, but I could be completely off base here.
I think Julian is right, though, and I think Jawan may not have. I think he has the skill set necessary to do the job, but he might not have that extra skill set of reading between the lines or maybe being extremely intentional. And I think Julian is right. There's a lot of people in this community that will look at that flyer, immediately get offended, and then not go.
Yeah.
Like there's so much criticism regarding our city officials and what they are or are not doing, and they have to be legitimately perfect, only because there are people who will see that and say, I'm not going to go. This is more of the same. Look at this. They already have only black people, advertised, for this town hall. I'm not for this. This is not what's going to help our community. And then they'll just choose not to go. So something as small as that is a big deal.
The smiling part is a little ridiculous, and somebody should flag that. And it's almost an unwinnable situation. If there's no graphic on there, then you're not showing people who you'd like to tacitly invite. It's almost unwinnable, except for the smiling part. They probably could have gotten a better graphic. And one kind of serious thing before we go into some life stuff here. I did see, and we're hard when it comes to police officers doing the right thing all the time, and that's almost an impossible standard to meet, but that's kind of what happens. That's kind of what you sign up for when you put that badge on. You need to be above reproach when it comes to maintaining the peace and withholding and upholding justice. I think it was Friday night or something, Toledo police had an encounter, and the woman claimed she was pregnant, so she had the handcuffs taken off, and it turns out she was not pregnant. But it's, and I don't think I mentioned this last week, but I was wondering, when will the tide turn back towards, openly supporting the police, or at least understanding that in many situations being held to a standard of perfection is nearly impossible? And is it going to take an Adam Toledo situation where that person actually has the gun and a police officer hesitates and is shot and maybe killed for people to go, oh, now I understand the kind of situation that they're in? And this is so challenging because we have laws and police officers for the tiny minority of people who choose to do wrong in society. And I thought I'd share the story about this woman saying she's pregnant for who knows what reason. So she's not in handcuffs. But for the most part, it's a good reminder to remember that the police, 95% of the time, deal with some unwieldy and evil people who are lying for one reason or another. And, if he took those cuffs off and something awful happened, it's like, there's a loophole that a person exercised to do some awful things.
So I think that there's going to be a few things that are going to need to happen. Systematic change is a huge, it's really big to take on. So I just don't feel like it's realistic, to say it in that way. But I think that there needs to be, more officers, I feel like, held accountable for their actions. And I think that there needs to be more officers and or unions that show remorse. It's so hard. I don't know how to explain it. This may be a really terrible example. Years ago, when Clinton and Trump were running for office, and, all this stuff came out about Clinton's emails and how her wrongdoings, so she did something wrong. There was no apology for that. You know what I mean? There wasn't any remorse. What she did wasn't perfect, but she didn't do anything illegally wrong. You know what I mean? She didn't do anything that warranted any further action on her part. But what she did was messy, and it was careless, and it caused harm, but because of what she was trying to do, she could not, she had to stay stone cold faced the entire time. I feel the same way with law enforcement and the unions and officers. You have to show remorse. You know what I mean? And it's just like, well, our job is difficult, so this is what you get. And it's like, you need to show that you're still a human being and that you are acknowledging that other people are feeling hurt. Other people are afraid of you. I know that there's so many people who do. I know that, like, even from the conversations we've had with Officer Bates and Sergeant Surgeon, which we should have them back on, by the way. But I know that. I do know that. But I think publicly, especially when you're talking about policing and when there's two sides of the fence here, like, those who are pro law enforcement are so stone cold with, it's like they almost gaslight you, as if these things aren't actually happening. And so you're not going to get any coming to Jesus or these two sides kind of coming together and acknowledging the dangers in policing when I feel like policing don't acknowledge the plights of the community because there was a lot of criticism of Adam Toledo and why he was out on the street in the first place. He's dead. Like, okay, but he's dead. You know what I mean?
I responded to a lady I hopped into a news story Facebook thread and I kept it brief. She said, "What's he doing out then anyway?" I was like, "You're right, lady. He could have gotten shot at 3:00 in the afternoon too." But it's true.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you. It would be like we always kind of ask for, like this was part of they're not all like it's just a couple of bad apples part of the discussion. Well, to make that true, the rest have to stand up and say, "This is not who I am." Like these people, and it's just the machismo, the fraternity, and the stonewalling of the union, like we asked for with the sexual assault police officers. Like, go stand in front of a microphone.
Yeah.
Show some contrition. Okay, no more serious stuff.
Okay.
I enjoyed the toy show on Saturday, and my plan backfired, but because I am strategic and savvy in my shopping, and I don't bring anybody with me who's going to, like, slow-foot it around, it was like a 10-minute line to get in at 9 o'clock. And it was just scores of people, mostly men. And that Total Sports Rossford place is pretty damn impressive. But it was a good show, and like it was packed. And I would say I can't recall anybody wearing their mask incorrectly.
That's good.
But then I thought back, and I did well. It was like half of the thing was cars. I was sending my brother pictures. I'm like, "Do you want me to buy this for you?" Because he knows what he's looking for. And I enjoyed myself. It was nice to be among my own people. It was nice to do one of these conventions again. People were eager to do one of these, as evidenced by all the people that were there. People were nice. It's really, if you ever want to go somewhere and watch scores of people not watch where they're walking, go to one of these. But we've all been to places like that before. And I was happy. It was a good time. I had a busy Saturday, but it was like yesterday I was realizing, oh shit, there was no social distancing social distancing was reduced down to like 6 inches. That's how busy it was, and you weren't going to be able to enforce it in a place like that. But I was like, I am truly going to test the efficacy of my Moderna vaccinations.
I was going to say, yeah,
because I don't know. You say there's 1,000 people there. There's a percentage, maybe 10%. There was a percentage of people who likely had COVID at that thing. So I'm going to test out whether or not my vaccinations work, or I might need to test it out. But it was a good time, but also just a reminder that we're not out of this, and we still have to follow certain things. And in some ways, I'm disappointed in myself. But I did everything I could. Other than I couldn't have done 6 feet of distancing even if I tried in that place. That's how busy it was.
So don't be disappointed in yourself because you are vaccinated. So you did, I'm curious. It sounds like you must have felt safe because you didn't even realize right away. It sounds like you said the day after that there wasn't really any social distancing practices. So you must have felt some sort of safety, and it obviously was not in the policies that they had in place. It was in the fact that you were vaccinated. So you were able to enjoy yourself. I think that's actually really important to say for other people who may be considering vaccination in the future. I had the same thing this weekend. I went out and did some things, and I felt safer. I felt safer in what I was doing.
It wasn't any of those.
Oh, please.
It wasn't being vaccinated. I was just in the zone because I had a strategy. Like when I went to the first aisle and I started at the aisle farthest from the entrance, I figured there'd be less people there. And I started looking and I got the vibe of like, okay, there's a lot of people here. I'm going to have to pounce if I see something. No, I'll come back and grab this. So I was in the zone, and that zone was not being COVID safe or following protocols. Like, I started going up and down, and I did up and down 2 aisles, and then I did a head turn, and I was like, shit, there's a Transformers over. The guy's got a couple over there. So I went off my path and went over to this spot. So it was nothing to do with feeling safe or vaccinated. I was in the zone to con shop.
I see. Okay. Well, good.
Slap on the wrist.
I'm glad you had a nice time and that you felt like, there was some normalcy there. What Total Sports, is that the big dome?
Yeah.
Okay. I see it all the time. That's my neck of the woods, but I've never been inside.
Yeah. It was impressive.
That's cool.
So how was Thomas's birthday?
It was nice. So I surprised him. He had no idea what we were doing, and I wanted to get his family together and some of his friends in Michigan. I don't typically do anything for Thomas's birthday beyond whatever we do together, like as a couple, and I just felt like it would be nice to kind of get everyone to include everyone in this. And so sometimes it stressed me out making an effort beyond just the two of us, but I did it. We went bowling in Michigan, which is a risk. But we had a really nice time. He was surprised. He does not like surprises. So eventually it got to a point where I'm like, hey, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I just don't like surprises. And so I was like, well, I can tell you. Like, I can tell you. He's like, no, it's too late. That's fine. Just surprise me. Whatever.
Okay, so you said, hey, Aquaman, get in the car. We're going for a ride.
Yeah, essentially, I told him a couple days ahead of time. I said, don't make any plans for Saturday night. We have reservations. And then where are our reservations? And I'm like, I'm not telling you. And then that day I said, hey, don't forget we have these plans today. Or the day before I said, why don't you get a haircut? Like, go get yourself a haircut. Because he knew he was a couple months from a haircut. So I said, go get yourself a haircut. I knew he would want one. And then, I said, let me know what clothes you want me to wash, but I would recommend you put on your Timberland boots and you do this and do that. And he says, all right. So he did those things. And then as we were kind of getting ready, like the whole day I said, okay, well, you go do this. When you get back, you have enough time to take a nap. This is what time we need to be out of the door. And he was fine with that. It was when he was getting ready. And he's like, where are we going? And I said, I can't tell you that. And then I think he started to once I told him he wasn't allowed to take his gun, I said, you can't bring your gun. You have to leave that here. Then he knew we were crossing state lines, but it was also because he would be drinking alcohol. So I'm like, you can't take your gun. No, leave it here. And then he started to get a little bothered, not because he couldn't have his gun, but because he knew we were crossing state lines. So he didn't know what his surprise was going to be. So then he was really uneasy about it. But, once we got there, he was really happy. He was so excited. His family was there, and then some of his really good friends all got together. And these are people that don't get together normally. Like he spends time with them separately. So I was able to get everybody in one room. And he's such a host. Even when people are there for him, he's a host. So as some people were leaving, he goes, okay. He goes, honey, I'll be right back. I'm going to go walk them to the car. The walk to the car is not it was not a short walk. It was around the block. He's like, I'm going to go walk them to the car. I'll be right back. I'm going to go with them here. I'll be right back. So it was he was definitely worried about everybody else and making sure they were safe and having a good time compared to that, you know what I mean, enjoying his birthday. But that's just in his nature. We went to the Garden Bowl. So we were in Midtown Detroit, which is the Wayne State area. And there's this block where there's a theater. And then there's a bowling alley, and it's called Garden Bowl. And so we went there. They had Glow Bowl or whatever you call it. But after 8 p.m., they didn't allow kids in. And there was food there. So I got a couple pitchers of beer for everybody and some pizzas and got everybody bowling shoes and got everyone bowling. It was really funny. I didn't realize so many of his friends and family just don't bowl. Like they've never bowled before. So
I told you, that's why I'd ask you. Like, do black people bowl? I think about, like, have I ever seen black people swim? And then Philip's like, oh, no, black people don't swim. If I went to one of my dad's bowling nights, I wonder how many black people there would be there.
I mean, we swim if you ask us to, so it's the same thing. So I guess, like, they were like, oh, yeah, we could go bowling, but I didn't realize how many of them don't bowl. What I was really happy with is most of them left wanting to go again. So
Good.
They said, we should do this as a group again. This was a good time. But there was some things that I was having to teach them where I said, when it's your turn to bowl, if there's somebody next to you, you have to wait to let them go first. You can't bowl at the same time. And then, like, you can't let the ball go until you get up to where the gutters are. Like, you don't want to let it go beyond that because you may break the wood. Like, you know
Bowling
what I mean?
etiquette.
Yeah, so there was just but it was definitely an environment that was conducive to us. Even the music, like DMX was playing and like all the old schools, like some really good Beyonce, some Jay-Z, like from back in the day. Like that was the kind of music that was playing, and it was a really nice environment. Nobody was socially distanced. Everybody had their masks on the entire time. So that was nice. But
now I feel better knowing that you were as slightly irresponsible as I was.
Well, what I didn't make a fuss about it, but I asked them when I called and made the reservations in advance, and I asked them, I said, hey, what are your guidelines? They wouldn't let me bring a cake in. Like, there were things that they said, no, you can't do this, no, you can't do that.
That makes sense.
But they said that there's a buffer lane in between each person. There was no buffer lane. Like, there was no buffer lane. We were right next to the other party. And the only other thing that I didn't love was, normally when you're in a bowling alley and you have your lane, there's like 6 chairs per lane. There's only 2 chairs per lane. So everybody else was having to stand up behind the lanes, like where they had like tall bar stools and tables. So we're all sitting around those things as we wait for our turn. So it was actually it was a compact little bowling alley, but and it was full of folks. I mean, our reservations were at 8, and that was early, apparently. There was like a bachelorette party that came in. There was a sorority that was having a gathering. There was a ton of people that were coming in and out. It was a really good time. He had fun. I was happy that he had fun. He kept saying it, so I knew he had a good time, and he was able to let loose.
He's 33?
He's 33.
Did you do dinner, or was the reservation at the bowling alley?
I got pizzas for everyone.
Where'd you get pizza? Pizza's from the bowling alley?
Yeah, it's Sergeant something or another, Sergeant Pepperoni. I don't know. It wasn't bad. It wasn't. I didn't think it through though, and there was a lot of people who don't eat pork, which surprised me. So I got 2 pepperonis, and I should have got 1 cheese, 1 pepper.
That's what happens when you invite all the Jews out. The Orthodox Jews coming down from Southfield and Oak Park. Oy vey! Oy vey! I can't eat the pizza. Good. Well, you know that I told him happy birthday.
Yeah, I saw that. That was funny.
I haven't gotten any responses. Bethany asked me if what I sent in this group message that I created was a prank.
Why?
I don't know. I don't know. But since we're doing this, I figured we can have a small gathering at my place, round 2. Nobody else has responded, so I'll probably have to ask them individually. But everybody's significant other is invited to come, so that includes Thomas. And I was thinking maybe I could have him at the front door. He could bounce for the night.
He would absolutely come. He'd probably be glued to your dogs the entire time. So in social events, if there's a dog around, he usually goes right to that, so he doesn't have to socialize with people.
Me too.
He will likely do that. I would say from your message, I didn't know what RD meant, and I was like, oh, that's round.
Yes.
Round 2. Got it. And then specify what time. I also have a birthday party to go to that day, but it's for a kid, so it would probably be in the afternoon anyway. So I'd be free most likely after 5.
Yeah, it would definitely be at night or something. Good segue into dogs. So, Amanda was having a day. Like, I was supposed to go over there for Moana and pizza and Pierce and poop Saturday night. Amanda was having a day, and I could tell. it's a lot for her to manage Pierce because he is a tornado like every second. And when he's not a tornado, he's on the phone watching stuff. But he's a little boy, and the wind can blow, or he could fart, and all of a sudden, then he wants to go run and jump on his mom.
Yeah.
So I could tell she was having a day, and I didn't sleep well. I thought I had a productive day, so I figured I could maybe get out of going over for the long haul of the night. So, and she and I had discussed this because the day before, Pierce ran up to some dogs outside and wanted to see them. It's like, all right, well, let's try Andre again. So as soon as I got over there, I could see he had this conundrum. So his mom was between me and him. With me, I was Andre. So does he run away and get farther away from the dog, or does he run to his mom to save him from this Cujo canine I brought into his home? Andre was fine, by the way. He ran to his mom, and we made it about 15 minutes, and he was just not about Andre at all. And but when I left, I hooked Andre onto the door handle so he couldn't do anything, and I walked over and I got a high five from Pierce.
Oh, that's good.
So there was that. And then I went home and I ordered pizza, and I finished up Invincible. I caught up on Invincible, and I watched The Dark Knight Rises. Have you seen that movie?
The Dark Knight Rises?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen all of them.
So there was a lot of that was based on Occupy Wall Street stuff. And it's 10 years later, and we're getting closer and closer. Well, no criminals will be released, but with where people are rightly squawking about inequality and how much worse it's gotten during COVID and Black Lives Matter and other people who are subjugated or treated differently, and we're not that far off from a guy in a long coat with a mask standing on top of a tank.
But it's not going to be, but who would, I feel like the group that would be most likely to do that would be the ones who storm the Capitol compared to,
my friend brought that up.
I feel like it's the opposite.
I know.
It's the opposite, but absolutely. And, I kind of reflected back a couple days ago, and I don't know if it was you and I that talked about this on the podcast, but we almost felt like last year when this pandemic happened, for many reasons, we had it coming. Some reasons were Darwinism. Other reasons were as individuals, we were burning ourselves out and there was no way for us to stop, and we were heading to a really terrible place. And then the universe just said, boom, slow down. Other people were saying we had it coming biblically because we're such a mess, as a country and as a world. You know what I mean? This is our, what's the last book of the Bible? Revelation. Revelations, you know what I mean? They said we had it coming, and here we are 12 months later, and boom, over a dozen mass shootings in a month. Here we go again, we're at it again.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's my conspiracy theory.
And you can have that one. I know conspiracies. I don't know what the names of the Bible are and stuff, but it was because in 2015 when I watched that movie, I guess I was like, oh, okay, this is Christopher Nolan's analog for inequality. And I remember first time I see that movie, you're always rooting against the bad guy. In 2012, it's Batman's got to come back and save these people. Spoiler. And then in 2015, I'm like, oh, okay, I get it now. And you're like, fuck all these rich people. They can stay under those tables, and if they get shot, they get shot. Bane was the good guy. He just had some violent means about it. And it's we're inching closer to that in some ways. And my friend, who I converse with Batman stuff all the time, she mentioned the storming of the Capitol. And I said to her the same thing. I'm like, wrong people. Because it would be the people who are oppressed in a variety of ways. The people who, like yourself, I just saw a tweet, you have truly been beaten up because it's the housing market now, it's student loan before that, and on and on and on with people your age. And your people would be the one holding the guns, cheering on Bane and thanking him for giving you the city back against the elites. But
I just think that the oppressed will not, I mean, unless we all rise up, we won't, which I'm not saying we need to do. We don't have the power to really do that and even make a difference. Like the unoppressed, if that's even a word, like that's the whole reason they were able to get away with what they did at the Capitol, was because they weren't viewed as a threat, you know? And then boom, threat happened. Nobody was prepared. All hell broke loose. Like since whatever year.
As with everything, it's a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
And, you know, we could literally do an hour each day about things like that are wrong in life, but that's not what we do. We try to mix it in.
Exactly.
I did make it to the Dunkin' Donuts in Maumee the other morning, and I couldn't sit inside. But then I'm walking to leave, and I'm like, what am I going to do for 90 minutes for the toy show? I'm like, oh, I'll sit at these tables outside of Five Guys. It was a little chilly, but I enjoyed my Dunkin' Donuts. And just a couple of observations. So Five Guys is hiring, and they had a sign that says starting at $11 per hour, benefits and free food. And then, as irony would have it, later on I'm driving the Wendy's. I think both Wendy's on airport are. So the Spring Meadows Wendy's says $12 an hour. And I was just engaging in some discourse on Twitter last week, trying to refute the fact that even burger flippers are making more than $8 an hour these days. It's, and I don't really want to go down this rabbit hole because something else will happen that will pop up that will bring back the pay discussion. But it just kind of confirmed my thinking that we probably don't even have to raise minimum wage because of all the things going on in the world. It's either organically or artificially happening, whichever way you want to read it. But my other thought was, for a lot of those jobs, like some people will claim you have to pay a living wage. In Dunkin' Donuts, no, I don't think any of those people, you gotta be 18. I don't think any of those people could legally drink alcohol. But they were all doing a great job. So
sure.
Just some interesting observations as I was out.
Where is this Dunkin' Donuts? Like, I know where the Five Guys is because, wait, no, I don't. Where is the Five Guys?
So it's in a weird spot. So I was going to dinner one time with Juliana, and she's like, yeah, it's on Conant. Well, I'm like, well, you're on Reynolds right now. She's like, well, Reynolds turns into Conant. I was like, well, I'll be damned. So,
is it by the rib cage?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's right there, in fact. You know where it's across from Schlotsky's?
So I just discovered Schlotsky's last week. In love. I've already been there twice.
I've heard their corned beef sandwiches are really good.
I had a turkey sandwich one day, and then the other day I had a barbecue chicken flatbread. I go for the Cinnabon because there's no Cinnabons around here.
Yeah, that was weird. I saw that as I was pulling past their parking lot. It says like home of the Cinnabon. I'm like, at the deli? What?
Yeah, they must and it's Cinnabon.
Right.
So they must contract with them to get Cinnabons available for their kind of like you know what? I don't even know what it would be like Ben and Jerry's at a burger place, but it was fantastic. So I think I've gone twice for the Cinnabons, not for the food, but I get the food while I'm there.
Was the turkey sandwich big?
No, well, so you can get small, medium, and larges. I got a medium. Because a large sandwich is like $12.
If I have to use a fork, that's worth it. I have yet to find a deli sandwich that you need a fork for here.
Oh, have you ever had Slimans in Cleveland?
I have not.
Ooh, delicious.
I mean, in cities like that, I expect that, but delis here, I remember I went to, and this is not to knock them, I went to Focaccia's, and I got like the Manhattan size or the New York size. Corned beef special, and I was like this might be New York on a diet. But yeah, I'll get to Slotsky's one of these days. But right across the street is where that Dunkin' Donuts is. But it's all drive-through and no indoor seating at the moment, which is a little disappointing. But it was nice to finally have some Dunkin' Donuts back in my body again.
Good for them. This might be a good time to go too, because the world hasn't discovered it yet. So the
Right.
line isn't going to be wrapped around the block. Like the Dunkin' on Central, the Dunkin' off of 25, wrapped around the block every time, just like Starbucks. The only
Are you there?
oh,
You clipped out.
I'm back. Yeah, I got a phone call. The only places that aren't wrapped around the blocks are Tim Hortons.
That Dunkin' Donuts on Central, if 4 cars are in the drive-through, somebody's out on Central. It's so small there.
That's true. That is true.
2 last things. One, shout out to Jared Del Vecchio. He helped me with some skincare stuff, and I'm going to dive into that tonight.
What did you get, and where'd you go?
Well, he works at Dermatology Associates.
Oh,
Apparently,
nice.
he's a longtime listener of the show, and I had put out there, my face is different now, and some of it is age, but also like I want to make sure I'm not using junk on my face. And he gave me a couple things. Let me find it. Hold on. He suggested 2 that you can find anywhere products. CeraVe Cream to Foam Cleanser.
Yep, that's what I have.
Moisturizer. Neutrogena Hydra Boost, the gel cream.
I don't have that.
And then I took a picture. I'll put a post up at some point. Let's go. One of these is like a retinol product, which I guess is vitamin A.
Yeah, I have retinol. Yep.
Okay, and then Elastin Skincare. That's the retinol. The other thing is, I'll have to send you a picture of these. But he told me in what order to use these. Blah,
Yeah,
blah,
that's
blah.
important.
So,
Sunscreen.
Yeah, well, one of these is a sunscreen. It's like SPF 45. I'll send you the picture. But that he was very helpful, very informational. He's like, I feel like I'm sitting with a celebrity. I'm like, I feel like I'm in a doctor's office getting a consultation, because he was very prescriptive and protocol driven.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's really nice. After we talked about it, we had a pod a couple months ago, and that was my goal, and I picked up a routine, and I'm really I don't have makeup on right now. I'm not wearing any makeup, and I try to do that more intently, because some of the stuff that I've been doing for my skincare has really kind of gotten rid of some of the spots on my face that I'm insecure about, and made my skin glow a little bit. So I also use CeraVe, the cleanser. And then I do a hyaluronic acid and a retinol and then a moisturizer. And then in the morning, again, the cleanser. Oh, I also use a toner. But then in the morning, I also do the cleanser. I'll do the hyaluronic acid. And then I'll do a vitamin C serum and then moisturizer and SPF.
I think the
Hyaluronic acid.
Yeah. I think that's in some of these. So he said in the morning, moisturize is needed. Then use the SPF Alita thing. At night, do the Elastin retinol and moisturize. And he said I can also use I use the under eye cream from Men's Clinique. I don't know if it does anything.
I have an under eye cream. It cost me $70.
Yeah, they are very expensive. I don't know if they've ever done anything. And actually, that's not my trouble spot. But yeah, so I'm interested to give this a go, and he was very helpful. It was very nice to meet him, and as usual, especially when it comes to a gay guy, we know all the same people. So he said Philip had actually just reached out to him last. Oh, and I have big Philip news, but I've been sworn to secrecy, and I really need to tell him no one cares. If he says it's okay to tell you, I will tell you. He might just say don't bring it on the podcast, and by Friday or Thursday, he might be okay sharing it.
I hope it's him and Danny are moving to the U.S.
It's not that.
Damn it.
But I was wondering if Danny was going to whoop some ass.
Oh, ooh.
Yeah, I'll ask him if I can tell anybody. But one last thing, and I thought this might be a phone call, but I think that this is safe enough to put on the podcast. So Amanda is going through things, and I've mentioned it here and there. I mean, she's in her tiny little rectangle. Here's going to be a tornado. She's trying to wrap up her divorce, and he's a difficult person. So like I said, on Saturday, I could tell, are you okay? Oh, I'm fine. You're clearly not fine. And then today I went and saw her, and she wasn't doing great, and she texted me, thanks for coming over, and she apologized for, not being more than what she is right now. And I think it was on Saturday. It was like, how come I keep dating all these people who have things that they can't seemingly get past? Like the last girl. Like I think you remember me telling her, like, you are doing so well with this. All this stuff would cripple a normal human being. Mm-hmm. But she didn't believe me, or she couldn't buy into that, so it made things difficult. And not that this has made things difficult with Amanda, but, I mean, I just have to remind myself, I guess, is everybody's got something. And, you're never going to find somebody who doesn't have an issue in their life that brings them down from time to time.
You and I are, like, so much alike when it comes to, I believe, at least, that this was my number one struggle when Thomas and I were together. He handles things in a very different way than how I handle things. And sometimes it's a real challenge for me because it's not about me, but we live together and share a world together. So it does still affect me. And so that patience of when somebody, is dealing with something and they're coping with it and how they choose to cope with it can really be a challenge. I am very much a fixer. If I'm sad, I'm playing music that I know is going to pick me up. I'm going to watch something that I know is going to pick me up, or I'm going to go somewhere that I know will make me feel better. I won't necessarily sit in that, sit in my feelings. I'm like, don't want these, don't want anything to do with them. Let's get rid of them. Other people aren't that way, and so it may take them a little while to work through real life shit, as it should. And it can be a challenge. That's probably one of the things that I thought I knew all about until I met Thomas. And then I'm like, I have no patience. Like, there's a lot I can learn here. A lot.
Yeah, like, I don't have a problem with how she's dealing with it because it's a lot. I mean,
yeah, it is.
When I went over to see her with Andre on Saturday, and I had known from earlier in the afternoon, that's kind of why I decided to adjust. Like, last week, I'm like, I need to get over there because she's going to deal with her shot. And, like, I need to like, be a barrier between Pierce and her. And I felt the opposite on Saturday. Like, an extra person there, especially one who will likely wind up Pierce, is probably not best. But let me go show the flag. And then, like, yesterday and today, I just have to realize somebody's always going to have something, and she's dealing with it as best as she can, and I have no criticisms with how she's dealing with it. I guess it's just it's like a disruptor in the linear progress of a relationship, but there's no such thing. I mean, that is a zigzag of a road that one's traveling on. It's never straight.
You seem so supportive, too, which is really helpful and really nice. Like, I always like to hear what you've done or something small you did, even if it's like just bringing her coffee. That's really nice. That's top-notch boyfriend quality. Good job.
Thanks. I've practiced my whole life for this.
Good job.
So I have joked with her, and she's even said it, like, he's getting kicked out of daycare.
Oh.
I am choosing to amend how we say that. It's kind of like, oh, you were offensive for a long time. Oh, I didn't mean it, but you said it. So now we're going to say things differently. His current daycare can't handle him.
It's not a good fit.
It's not a good fit. There we go. It's not you. It's not a good fit. So
have you thought about somebody that we know that works at one that may be a good fit?
Took care of that on Friday.
Very good.
Took care of that. That's how I knew what I disclosed to you.
Okay.
So hopefully that can happen. If not, like I told her, I was like, it could be really painful, but it'll be temporary. I even threw out the suggestion to her today. It was like, what about like a private like babysitter or something? And like whether it's somebody's in-home daycare or whether she can pay somebody because she has resources. It's just finding the person who, she can drop him off there, or that person can come to her little rectangle. So
sure,
there are ways.
Yeah.
All right. Today was nice. I will dig into the Nevers tonight, and I want to watch the Kate Winslet show.
That's exactly what we're doing. So we're going to watch both of those. We've got some leftover chicken wangs, and we're going to sit down, and there's a cake at home, so I'm just going to eat my feelings. Bless his heart. Thomas is so sweet. I was so sick last week. He would turn on my heating pad and clean up and do all that stuff. So hopefully it'll be a nice night. I've got Yeah, that's what we're watching. By the way, talked to Matt today and got some meals delivered. So
Thank God. That's so weird because he was MIA last week, even to me a little bit. And I texted him this morning, but good.
Yeah, I was able to purchase some that I felt like, obviously for what I could do, I'm like, the price is a little steep, but I'm going to support you anyway. And he actually came through very, very much as far as.
He said he was sick. Did you go the route of he was going to give you the extra meals?
So I asked, so I did exactly what I said I would. I emailed him, said, hey, we're going to have some folks. What are you looking like with what you have left over? He actually has this, like a clearance section of his website now, and we'll put whatever he has left over on his website. So I was able to go take a look and then select what I wanted and purchase them. The prices were still, even then they were discounted, but they were still a little steep for me this week at least. But I did it anyway. I'm like, you know what? Let's go ahead and give it a try because I want to support him and I want to try. And he came through same day. Like I was very impressed. And, tossed in a couple extras and some coupons and all of that good stuff. So I was really satisfied and the meals look great. So
I'm going to text him right now so I don't forget.
Yeah, everybody call Matt. Meals for, I don't know. I'm going to say
meal preps for me.
Meal preps for me, Toledo. Give him a call.
Yeah, he was supposed to be advertising by now, but he got victim of his own success. I guess he needed to hire even more people because he got so successful so quick.
Yeah.
Just an awful situation. A terrible thing to have. Too successful too fast. So I'll watch those tonight. And if you have time with the Winter Soldier finale coming up on Friday, this would be a time to catch up. Friday night's episode was so good. It checked all the boxes for everything that you want in a good show and something Marvel. The first scene is, do you remember the Iron Man Captain America scene at the end of Civil War?
You'd have to remind me, but most likely.
Where Cap leaves the shield?
Yes.
This was on that level.
Okay. Oh, no. So I will, I think maybe Saturday I'll do it because Thomas is actually, I think his friend's going to be here all day and they're going to be out and because I don't get to join those activities. So I will need something to do on Saturday. So maybe I'll binge it all day Saturday and then watch it, watch the last one. And then, so Synchronic has the guy who plays Falcon is the main character in Synchronic.
Sebastian Stan?
Yes, the one from New Orleans.
Oh, wait. No. Sam Wilson. Sam Wilson. Oh, I'm done. That's why I scoffed at it. Because it's like he's taking these Netflix movies.
He is.
And they're all like a dime a dozen. Wasn't there one where he's he's a robot?
Yes.
You and Vinny both watched it.
That just came out. I mean, It came out, I want to say, in February.
Yeah,
so,
it's
he must have signed a deal that just wasn't made public. I'm sure he'll be in a couple other films, too.
Yeah. And this is not a bird joke, but he is quickly pigeonholing himself.
I think he is, too. So it was a good film, but it was meh. So was the one where he played the robot. So I feel like he's got to, hold himself back, hold out for some of the bigger roles. You know what I mean? You don't have to just sell out. Because, may he rest in peace, but Chadwick Boseman passed away. There's an opportunity for you to take on some of the roles that would maybe have gone to him or that he fit more. There's obviously a ton of black actors out there that can do that, but I do like him as an actor, and I watched the movie and I was like, okay, this is all right.
I originally remember Anthony Mackie. He had just gotten cast, and I'm like, who? He was in the movie. It was Matt Damon, and it might have been Emily Blunt, The Adjustment Bureau.
Oh, I don't even remember.
Good movie. Good movie. They would go back and fix crimes. Therefore, The Adjustment Bureau.
No, I don't think I've seen that one.
Yeah, it must have been 2010, maybe 2011. I heard All the Stars from the Black Panther soundtrack over the weekend.
Did you love it? I've heard it a couple times, and I'm like, I really did love this song.
I loved it then, and I heard it over the weekend, and that was the first time I've heard it since he died, and it was a lot heavier.
It is. I still can't I can't really watch some of his films. Like I haven't rewatched Black Panther. I'm okay with some of the Marvel movies where he's just kind of in it, but yeah, I don't know how I'm going to do with that.
One of these days, I'll have to have Vinny have on the show. He's like, there was a petition last week, one of these idiot online ones that goes to the president to recast Black Panther, and I sent it to Vinny, and he said what I didn't really want to hear, but I'll be fine with it. He's like, they're going to have to recast him. They have to recast the character at some point. I'm like, I know. My complaint was there is no studio on Earth more well suited to deal with something as horrific and tragic as this than Marvel.
I agree. Yeah, I think they'll do a really good job with it. It won't be disappointing, but I don't want them to recast him. I don't think it's going to be the same.
Yeah, we'll see how it happens.
And I think there's so many other opportunities to do something different with it where they don't have to recast him, and it's still just as valuable.
It would be interesting if they could creatively find a way to put it into the narrative.
Sure.
Like Black Panther got unblipped, but then he got reblipped by there was a stone malfunction. I don't know. So
Okay.
All right. I'll edit that stuff out, and bye.
Thank you. Bye.